No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jami and this is my friend.
Hi, I'm Rebecca with That Organic Mom.
Hi, That Organic Mom. And I'm in my parents' bedroom because I don't have a Mac yet and my screen is no good. So I just kicked my mom out. She has the flu. We're going to talk about self-care. I was like, oh, get out of here.
Well, maybe your mom needs to come in and listen to this chat.
I know.
For real.
She was coughing up a lung, so I was like, you're going to have to go. I'm sorry.
Aw. Well, I hope she feels better.
She's okay. I got her set up in the living room with the vandals. So
cool.
Yeah. So let's talk self-care.
Vandals. That's probably how she got sick in the first place.
We don't get sick.
And neither do we.
We don't get sick. Somebody
yeah.
Something.
Which is funny. That's really a good kind of intro into what we're talking about today, because about self-care. Mm-hmm. That's our topic for today. But I just had read on a friend's, I'm going to see if I can find it real quick, but she had put something on her Facebook and she says, okay, let's see.
I'm not even kidding you. Every time I come over here to record an interview, the lawn guy shows up. Not even kidding.
That used to happen to me too. Our neighbor's like weed eater guy would come. Mm-hmm. But anyways, she had put on here, if you're coming to church while you're sick, like, please don't do it. And, you have your probably the most popular blog post ever written, mm-hmm. which was titled.
It was day 8 of the first time that I did stuff I wish you'd quit saying. Don't tell me you've been up all night vomiting. And
right.
Funny because it goes nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she had written about staying home from church. She's like, talking about people that come to church and how, believe me, I'm not going to think you're less spiritual if you quarantine yourself while you've got a runny nose and you're running a fever. Stay home, take care of yourself.
Yeah. So, I joke about it, and we have joked about it before, but it's really very selfish. Because there's people, like myself or my daughter that have autoimmune diseases, and we get sick and it's all over. So,
right.
That would
practice self-care. Stay home.
Stay home.
I mean, there's people with there are people with weakened immune system. There are newborn babies. There's people who are on medication that lowers their immune system. So there's a lot of reasons. But yeah, please stay home when you're sick.
Yeah, pregnant moms. There's nothing worse than being sick when you're pregnant. So
rule number 1 of self-care.
Rule number 1, just dive off and stay in bed. Unless your daughter comes and kicks you out. Get out, Mom. I gotta record.
Well, I wanted to talk about something, and I don't know if we have done this together where you pick a word for the year. A lot of people do that. Do you pick a word?
I keep seeing that on everybody's Facebook. I'm afraid to pick a word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really am. Because I don't want it. For one thing, I'm afraid that like halfway through the year, I'll regret it and I want to change it. Or
you'll forget it. You forget about the word. And so, well, last year I picked the word calm, and I feel like I did a pretty good job of living up to that calm all year last year. I feel like it was pretty calm. Mm-hmm. Pretty calm for myself. I'm not usually a super calm individual. I tend to overthink and overreact. But anyways, and so this year, the same friend, she had picked a word, and then she told me that what her word was for this year and asked me, oh, are you going to pick a word? So I asked her, what is your word? And she said, oh, my word this year is me. And I was just so proud of her because, okay, she's a mother of a large family. She's a pastor's wife. She runs her own business full-time from home while homeschooling her kids, okay? Like, she suffers from chronic illness, and there's just like, can you put more things on one person's plate? And so when she told me that her word was going to be me, I was so impressed that I even talked to my therapist, Dr. J, about this, which Dr. J knows everything. So I told Dr. J, and Dr. J even made her I approve face. So I was like, okay, this is a good word. But then I was so disappointed because later she told me that her husband didn't like her word. And being a pastor, I kind of thought, okay, I can see where he's coming from. Put others first, serve others first. And so I was a little disappointed. But then later, again, she said, he thought about the word and he decided he likes it after all. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Because, because we all know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that from the Christian machine idea is that we're just supposed to be, this workhorse. And that's what I believed forever. I mean, that's what I believed. And I had my laminated checklist of things that I thought brought me approval. And then when I fell into the message of grace, I learned that I couldn't add to the cross, and it was quite silly to try and add to the cross. I mean, if you say it out loud, I'm going to do this, 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 and this so that I gain approval with Jesus, which he died for us while we were still sinners. That part's over. And how can you possibly measure up to it? What was I going to do? And this is the truth. When I say it like this, what could I possibly do to add to that where he'd go, okay, yeah, you're good. And so you look at the thief on the cross, there was nothing left to do. He was done. It was over. So, today you'll be with me in paradise based on what? Based on the yes. So yes, we're called to certain things, but this mindset that we have to be driven into the ground and completely broken is a lie that has, I think, so many Christian women completely worn down and discouraged, because the other mindset I think we get into is that if we do all the things, nothing bad will happen. Well, sorry, bad stuff's going to happen. And you can crawl to church on your hands and knees with your kids on your back, and it does not gain you any more favor than you already have with God. He did it all on the cross. It's over. So when you get in the mindset of, and this for me, this is just such a huge relief, in the mindset of he did it all. He loves me. I'm his daughter. These things that I'm called to, adoption, foster care, homeschooling, whatever your thing is not earning you anything. It's just your thing.
Right.
Because you're doing that thing, there's going to be some space for you to breathe. And for me, that was so freeing and such, I've drawn so much closer to the Lord, thinking he likes me. He's not mad if I take a bubble bath or I oversleep or I nap or I go get a pedicure.
Remember to take your vitamins?
Yeah, he's not mad about those things. Just like, while I believe he approves of, when we're doing things for others, he doesn't want it to be our demise. And I think a really good example of this is, and I hear this along a lot of teens that get saved. My nephew said it, and, I've heard my other daughters say it. After they get saved, they get just so on fire to serve the Lord. But then they say stuff like, I just know I'm just so called. I have to go to Africa. I have to do this, and I can't sleep, and I'll work. That's not Jesus. Jesus isn't keeping a 13-year-old up all night because he thinks he needs to go to Africa. He has to go to the 8th grade. So it's that mindset of going, I have to earn nothing. Those things will have their time and their place. Everything has a season. But the place of rest where you go, I don't have to earn his approval. I have his approval. And then to not, self-mutilate with works and self-punishment is huge. So I can see where that conflict came with a pastor's wife.
Right. Because anytime someone says, oh, I'm going to do this for me, I'm going to have me time. I think a lot of us, myself included, our split second first response is selfish. It's selfish to take care of yourself, but that's so much of what, especially I think women are told, is that it's selfish to take care of yourself. Is it really selfish to take care of yourself? I don't think so. I know what happens from my own personal experience when you don't take care of yourself. When you put everybody first, and when you go, trying to achieve all these goals and do all this big stuff and help everyone and make sure everything is just in its place, and you run yourself ragged, you're not taking care of yourself, and it's going to come back and bite you in the butt.
Yeah. And being run down and completely depleted actually takes more away from those callings, you know?
Right. And that's what I thought was so wonderful about when she told me he thought about it and he realized he does like the word. And I was like, yeah, that's because he realized, hey, I married a pretty smart woman and she's always taken good care of us. And I think she realized finally that she also has to take care of herself because she's of more value to us if she's taken care of.
Well, and I think that, so the mindset is also that, of course, it can go way too far. And I had somebody, it was an acquaintance that was long since gone from our lives, but just a jerk when it came to that. I mean, the demands on everybody around her, it was almost embarrassing. So there's extremes with everything, but I think too, actually verbalizing, even if it's something small, I like to put fresh fruit in my ice water in a pretty glass. And that's my thing. That's for me. It's my treat. And nobody touches those raspberries. They go in my fruit or in my fruit water. That's mine. And I buy other fruit for everybody and I buy raspberries sometimes, but that's my thing. And
I love that.
Yeah. Since I stopped drinking. Yeah. When I stopped drinking sodas, especially, that was just, I call it drinking on purpose. Yeah, drinking on.
And I think that's a good point that you're making, is that self-care doesn't have to be this big deal where you go on a week-long vacation all by yourself or whatever the thing is. And I mean, I do have a list of those kind of self-care things, and there's nothing at all wrong with those. But I think the self-care that you and I are focusing on and what we would like to help other people learn to achieve is just day-to-day self-care, just taking care of yourself on a daily basis, not sitting at your computer and working without a glass of water and looking up and it's 1 o'clock and you realize, oh, I haven't had a drink of water yet today. So it's just that little kind of
a hand lotion or, a perfume or a lipstick or anything that you actually say to yourself, this is for me. This is mine. This is mine. And I think as women, it's, actually, I had something with my daughter, my oldest daughter recently, where she needed something and I gave it to her. And after it was gone, I was like, that was mine. It was mine. And it was something that was dear to me. I love her so much and I wanted her to have it. But I'm telling you, Rebecca, I went and bought another one. I can't even remember what it was. It may have been like, actually, I think it was makeup. And it was just like, that it wasn't that it was a mistake, but the minute that I did it, it's always that, well, what was I going to do now? I gave it to her. So I got more. It was makeup. And I think we do that like so quickly. And so I think that self-care really has a lot to do with just boundaries, just going, this is for me, this is mine. And no, you can't have it. I feel that way about my phone charger. Don't touch my freaking phone charger.
Yeah, I hide mine.
It's mine. Well, it's mine. and I think that it's okay to have, the shirt off our back in so many other areas of our lives, that every once in a while to just be able to go, you know what? Nope, that's mine. That you can't have it.
Right. And I think, the beginning of the year is a good time to talk about self-care. But some of the things that I thought of that I felt would be good to mention that maybe other people could implement into their lives. I'm just going to read a few of these to you because I made some notes. And everyone has a different way of taking care of themselves. There could be someone out there who's exercising, they're super into CrossFit and they go every day and they're just, constantly strung out from exercise. That person's self-care might be sleep. Go to bed early, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Actually do yourself the favor of going to bed and getting good sleep. So that's sleep. Now, the other person, maybe their self-care needs to be, hey, I actually do need to take some time out of my day to go exercise. That's a form of self-care. Practicing good sleep hygiene, taking time to be grateful. That's something that I have to work on all the time. But you've heard a million people, I'm sure, they talk about every night, write down like the 5 things that you're grateful for. just doing that, if you just try it for a week, it really does change your attitude. If you just think about it, it can be anything that you're grateful for. You know, when you start out, you can just be grateful that it didn't rain today, you know, whatever it is. So reducing debt, that's another form of self-care that people don't look at it that way, but you're actually taking care of yourself. Yeah. We talk about ditching toxic friends.
Yeah.
Cleaning up our homes, you know, just little things. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. So I think the idea between you and I, we just wanted to get across the point that self-care should be happening on a daily basis. It's not this thing that you wait till the weekend. Oh, I can't wait till the weekend so I can sleep in and take a nap. It's the day-to-day.
And like these huge things, instead of recognizing even what you listen to in the car, as far as, you know, if for me, and I do say this to the Vandals in the car, because they want to listen to the number song over and over and over again. And I'll just say, okay, well, we listen to the number song, and now mommy needs to listen to the Beastie Boys, and you're going to have to just stop and let me have a few minutes of the Beastie Boys, and then we take turns. But it is, right. it is that rattling in your brain and not being able to make the rattle stop unless something else happens. And for me, that I consider that self-care. I consider that this is going to be something that gives me a little bit of sanity, or reminds me of who I am, not just mom or those things, you know. So
right. And I think, you know, self-care can be accepting help from other people.
Oh yeah.
Allowing people to help you.
Yeah, which is I think it's harder for women to ask, and I think it's harder for women to accept. Just because, for one thing, because nobody does it as well as us. I mean, really and truly, that's usually my thing, is like, you know, if Justin says, well, I'll do it, I'll be like, yeah, okay.
Girl, you've got my number.
Yeah. So do you want to wrap this one up and do a second session? Because we want to talk about this some more, and I know we don't want our viewers to doze off. So
right.
I'm Jami and Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Huff.
And we'll see you next time. Go do something nice for yourself. Get a glass of water or something.
Go to bed early.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.